Hi everybody, it's Lena from Too Typical, and I wanted to come on, and I just noticed there's a fingerling hanging from the handle in the back. Mia put that up there. But anywho, I wanted to come in because yesterday I had a super frustrating day, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it. We had to get Michael's refill of his methylphenidate yesterday. And I went to the first pharmacy and I was told that they were out. They had 130 of the 150 milliliters that they needed to fill the prescription for. Okay. So they said, it's on back order. We don't know when we're going to get more bottles in. We might not have enough for next month. So call pharmacies, and hopefully you can find a pharmacy that has enough quantity of the 5-on-5 methylphenidate to fill your monthly order. Okay. So I called around and I found another healthcare center that had a pharmacy that had just enough to fill his prescription for this month. And I go and I hand them the paper copy because if you don't know anything about methylphenidate, methylphenidate is a level 2 controlled substance, and so we have to go every month. We drive from St. Cloud all the way to the U of M in the city, so an hour and a half every month to go get a paper copy of Michael's prescription so that we can fill his dosing for the next month. So I took in the paper prescription and I handed it over, and I'm thinking, we're good, we're golden. The worst part of this is going to be the cost, right? And they come out and they say, for Michael. And I said, yeah, it's, Well, on the written prescription, it says DAW. And what that tells the pharmacist is you can't give the generic. The name brand of what Michael takes is Methylphenidate, which is the generic of Ritalin. So he takes a generic of a name brand, and then we've been getting the generic of the generic. Did you follow me there? So Methylphenidate is not covered by insurance. I don't know why. I don't understand why, and I just frankly don't care. I just know that we've never gotten Methylphenidate. We always get Methylphenidate. Turns out the pharmacy that we've been using for the last couple months just ignored the DAW, which I'm not angry about because they found out that it wasn't covered. And so they've been filling it as the Methylphenidate. But this new pharmacy is trying to get a hold of the doctors on a Friday afternoon to get the okay to give him the Methylphenidate. They're only in the office on Mondays. Michael's developmental behavioral pediatrician is only in the office on Mondays. There isn't even office staff usually on other days. If you're lucky, you might catch someone in there doing paperwork, but they're not there. So there was no way we were going to get this okayed. However, I have enough to get through Monday, so I wasn't too concerned about it until I realized that Monday was Christmas Eve. I'm about ready to cry in the pharmacy. I don't know what we're going to do because I know that they're not going to be back in the office until after the first of the year, and we don't have enough to get that far. I'm not that much of a planner. And finally, after about a half an hour of waiting, they decide they're just going to do it. So they fill the Methylphenidate. So I think the worst is over. And then I walk up to the counter. $115. $115 so that my 3-year-old can function for 1 month. I get so much flack for having Michael be medicated. The amount of people who look down on me or turn up their noses is amazing. I mean, he's my child, but in our society, every mother, brother, aunt, uncle, and stranger can give you advice on how to raise your child. And so I get a lot of flack because I'm perfectly happy with Michael on medication. But they also don't know Michael. They don't know that before meds, Michael was bolting out in front of cars. He'd run into the middle of the road. he'd have no problem bolting out of the house. So it's not just because he's easier to deal with for me. I mean, granted he is, and we have a much better relationship because he's not bouncing off my walls 24/7, but he's happier with himself too. So I'm going to let my kid be happy, and I'm going to get him meds. And I think anybody who thinks that I'm taking the easy road out by offering him meds at such an early age should have had to deal with the pharmacy yesterday. It took about 2 hours to get his meds when it should have taken 15 minutes, if that. And it's costing us a pretty penny to get those meds. I don't just spend $115 willy-nilly because I feel like it. It's not exactly in my budget to do so. But I know that it makes him happy. I know that it makes him a better kiddo at school. It makes him a better friend at school. It makes him a better brother. We need to stop judging parents who decide to do medications for their kids. You don't look at a parent who's putting their child with type 1 diabetes on insulin and saying, well, you should have tried to diet a little harder. You know, I hear that if you get rid of food dyes, it makes the world of difference. Gluten, it's gluten. Gluten, if you removed gluten, he'd be fine. Have you tried just spanking him? I've gotten that one too. That one just... I can't spank the ADHD out of my child. Sorry. I can't diet the ADHD out of my child. My child truly has ADHD. And as a person who has a disorder, he needs medication for it. And maybe as he's older, he'll learn how to cope without medication. But I'm not going to push that. There are studies out there that say kids who are not offered the option of medication, who truly have ADHD and ADD, are highly more likely to go and self-medicate as adults with illicit drugs and alcohol. That's not what I want for my kid. I don't want my kid to be an addict someday. Putting him on a controlled substance medication is not going to make him an addict in 20 years. Not allowing him to know that there are prescription medications that can do him good so that he goes seeking for other ways of coping is going to keep him from being an addict. I'm not ruining my child. I'm making my child succeed. I'm letting him be who he wants to be. If he ever said to me, Mom, I'm done, I need a break from the meds, he'd get a break from the meds. But he asks every morning for them. He asks every afternoon for them because it makes him feel good. So please, if you have a friend who's got a kiddo who's being medicated, don't make him feel bad. They already feel bad enough. We already kind of feel like we failed as parents because we have to do this. Nobody wants their kids on medication. Nobody wants to have to sit at the pharmacy for 2 hours. And nobody wants to have to pay $115 extra per month. Tell them you understand. Celebrate them. Celebrate their choices. Celebrate their kids. Because our kids are awesome. Have a great day, guys.